Hi friends, it's Yana here today, and today we're sewing up the Marieke Wrap Dress. This dress is so cute, it's so easy to sew, it's a knit pattern, complete wrap, and I'm using the bishop sleeve option. So cute. So let's get to it. All right, friends, you all know I like to jump right in, so let's do this. We're gonna grab our back pieces, face them right sides together, and sew them along the back seam. Now, I get a lot of questions about this. Why do we do the back on mirrored instead of going ahead and just cutting it on the fold? The reason being is because our backs are not straight. So when you cut it mirror, you can add a little bit of a curve to the back to accommodate for the way that our back works in the back. So having this back seam is really nice. Now, if you wanted to skip the back seam, you can, but honestly, the back seam gives it a really nice shape to kind of come closer to the body. You're gonna sew this with your preferred stretch stitch. I'm going to be using my serger for this. All right, now we open and we steam that seam and we mark our notch that's gonna come in later. Now I marked both sides because when I cut the pattern, I cut both sides. But what you wanna mark is you wanna mark the wearer's right on the seam. So I would put this like, okay, so this is how I would put it on. This would be my back. This is my left. This is my right. So this is the one that I need. So I'm going to go ahead and get rid of this little notch here so it will not confuse me. Now I've got this little notch here. And what I'm going to do next is I'm going to grab my back bodice, place it face up on my mat, and grab my front bodices. I've got mine in 2 pieces because I added some length for my height. Since I am 5'7", I added a whole inch of length. And then I'm gonna grab my bodice front and I'm gonna place them right sides together at the shoulders. If you can see this straight line that goes this way is the front. The sleeve side has like a straight and then around because that's the sleeve here, the arm side. And so that's how you know which one is which. So right sides together, and we're gonna sew here at the shoulders with your preferred stretch stitch. Now I've get this question a lot as well. Do I use clear elastic at the seams? The only time I usually use clear elastic at the shoulder seams is if I'm using a very heavy fabric. So if you're using a heavy fabric that's gonna pull down on your dress, then I would recommend using some nice clear elastic here at the shoulders just for stability. It's not for stretching. You don't stretch it out. You just place it right on top of the seam and you kind of sew it right onto the seam. So that's something that would help if you're using very thick fabric that's going to pull your dress down and make it droopy. Some clear elastic here would help with that. I'm using double brush poly for this one, so I think we'll be just fine. All right, now I plan on doing bishop sleeves, so I am going to open up my dress and add my bishop sleeves. If you are not doing the sleeves, then you would move on to the next step. Make sure you steam your seams. That gives it a nice little even look. I'm placing my sleeve, my arm side. This is the side, this is the front right here, neckline. So I'm placing that. This is my shoulder seam, face up on my mat, and I'm grabbing my sleeve. So I marked my sleeve with a front and back. Let me show you. I marked what the back is right here. So I'm going to match that to the back of the dress because I want it to be on the right side that it's supposed to be on. And then I'm going to clip it to my dress and it should fit just right. Now in the background, if you can hear some music, is my son. He is home from school today and he's been playing his piano. So if you can hear that, then that's what it is. It's so sweet. It's really good for you to mark your sleeves because a lot of it looks very similar and you can be confused with which one's my front, which one's my back, what is my, what is the right side that I should be attaching, and having that mark helps you to realize, okay, this is the right side of the sleeve and this is where I need to be attaching. So make sure that you put those marks on there as you're cutting your fabric out, or pin it. If you didn't do the notches, you can just put a little pin or a clip there to remind you where it is. I'm going to sew that right sides together. Alrighty, time to sew our sides, and our sides are going to be sewn a little bit different than the normal side sewing because we have this strap that we're going to put through for our wrap situation. So remember where we left that mark here on one side and we took it away on the other side? See how I took it away here? So it reminds me that this is the side that I needed to keep my what do you call it, my little notch on. Now this one has a notch too because I did the notch on both, but I didn't take out the front. I took just the back notch. So but we remember that we have this one right here. Okay, on the wearer's right. I was trying to like make sure because I was like, oh my gosh, did I do it wrong? No, this is the wearer's right. So on the wearer's right, the situation of how to sew this is a little bit different than on the left. Like on the left, we're just going to sew it like regular. So let me just go ahead and pin that. We're just going to pin here at the armpit seams and go all the way down the sleeve and all the way down the bodice side. Yo, my brain sometimes I'm like, oh my gosh, did I measure that correctly? Did I do the right side? And I was like looking at the picture and it's like, is that making sense? And then I'm like, yes, it does make sense. We went through it together. I got it. We got it. We got this, right? All right, down all the way here. All right, now for the wearer's right, the sleeve will get pinned the same. So let's pin that sleeve. Now, when we get right here to the front, we're going to pin everything the same except for where we have that mark. All right, here at the mark, we're going to measure. We're going to measure 1 inch. 1 inch up from the mark. So here's my mark. We're going to go 1 inch up. Grab my pins. Pin my mark. Go 1 inch up because that's where we're going to fit our tie through when we're going to tie our bodice through right there. So what I'm going to do is this. If you're using a sewing machine, you're going to sew, stop, like backstitch here, start back here and go all the way. If you're using a serger, it's a little bit different because you don't really want to finish off with a serger seam here and get crooked. I'm going to go with my sewing machine. I'm going to start here, go down about 1/2 inch. Backstitch and stop, and then from here start and go about 1/2 inch down, backstitch and stop, and then I'm going to start my serger seam right after that, like right beside it, and start it this way so that they match up. Now what I'll probably do, I like to do it better this way, is go ahead and start serging and stop, and then where I stopped, I'm going to go over to my sewing machine and start the line right beside the serger stitch and go up to the pin and backstitch. So I'll go from the bottom of the sleeve all the way up and stop about 3/4 inch away from the needle, away from the pin. And then with my sewing machine, come in and stitch right along the edge of the seam and go all the way to my pin. That's what I'll do. That's how I like to do it. So we're going to do that and sew the other side as well. See right there, I came out. I'll start with my sewing machine right here and go all the way down. I'm going to do the same for the bottom. All right, so again, I'm going to start right here, right at the edge of my serger stitch area, and go forward and then go straight down to where that mark is, my pin. And then when I get there, I'm going to go ahead and backstitch. And here we go. And then we're going to do the same thing for the other side. I want to start it. I'm going to do it this way because I want to start it from the serger edge so that I know exactly where that serger edge is. All right, we're gonna go back to that spot that we just created. Where are you? this. I'm gonna trim all these threads. We're gonna go in and clip that seam allowance right at the edge where my inch is. Come on, just a little bit, just the seam allowance. That's all we're clipping. Because what we're going to do is we're going to open that seam allowance out like so. The reason why mine looks all crooked is because I had the notches on there, and that's okay. It doesn't really matter. Once we open that seam allowance, we're going to go to our sewing machine and we're going to sew around it, top stitch it down. So then you'll have this nice little gap here where your strap's going to go in. So you can go from the front. You should go from the front, but I'm going to go from the back because I want to make sure I stitch it right where I'm supposed to. Move everything from behind it out of the way. And I'm just going to move these pins and go ahead and stitch. All right, I'm sure you all noticed, and if you didn't, I'm going to show it to you because I'm transparent and I want you to see what happened. Well, first of all, this is what it looks like on the other side. I did the white thread so you could see what it looks like. It's like a little box right there, and I'm going to trim these threads. But when I was clipping my seam allowance, look what I did. I clipped a hole on my dress. How am I going to patch that? I'm going to probably grab some of the same color thread. I don't have any right now, but I'll grab some of the same color thread and either I'll zigzag stitch it there. It's not very noticeable when we put the strap and I tie the strap. You probably won't even be able to see it. Or I might use some steam a seam and seam it and hem it together, like steam it together. I'll show you in a minute. And so that it's closed. And I might go and put I might even put like a little patch of the same color fabric on top and sew around it. Those are all kind of different ways to fix this. But the best thing to do is to be really careful and not clip your fabric. But I just wanted to show you because it happens. It's a thing that happens sometimes and it can be most aggravating, but it's okay. We can fix it. We can put something on there. We'll be okay. All right, you all know I'm pretty easygoing when it comes to making mistakes while sewing. So here's my little patch that I'm going to do. Here's my little area where I messed up. I'm going to keep it as tight as I can. I'm going to use some of this steam a seam for now. I'm going to place it right on that area that I boo-booed. And I'm going to grab a piece of fabric that's the same and I'm place it right on top. And then I'm going to steam it together. I don't want to mess up my iron, so I'm going to remove some of the steam seam from the top. I guess I could put a bigger piece on there. And then I'm going to steam it down. And that is going to do it for now. Look on the other side. It's closed in there. And we're going to call that a win. I don't like to really iron my double brush poly, so I'm just kind of tapping it down. There we go. Now, I could go back and like top stitch it like a zigzag stitch right here to keep it closed. And I might do that if I find some thread that's the same color, but I think it's going to be okay. That'll hold up for now. All right, let's move on. Now what we're going to do is, the reason why I show you that is to encourage you, because sometimes I feel like we make mistakes and we get so upset at ourselves that we could ever make a mistake like that. We all make mistakes and we can repair them and we can move on and we can still have a beautiful garment at the end of the day. All right, now for the next step, we're going to start here. So this is the front. If you can see, this is the line of the front. This is the front neckline. We will hem that as well, but we're going to start on the bottom one, because we want to flap this over the hem here. And we're going to go 3/4 of an inch. So you can grab your gauge, or if you just do it by looks, which is what I usually do. See, I'm so used to hemming now that it's like, oh, 3/4. Okay, I got it. I got you. So I don't even measure half the time. But we're going to hem, fold, steam, and hem 3/4 of an inch all the way around the bottom of the dress, coming all the way around to the other side where this other piece is on the other side. When I'm going around a curve, I kind of tunt the fabric a little bit, like stretch it out a little bit, so it'll do the little turn nicely. So like this, like I pull on it as I'm steaming it, and it like gets rid of that little wrinkle and it folds nicely. Once we sew it, we'll steam it again and it'll kind of even out. I want you to comment below and let me know what are some of the mistakes that you've made while sewing. I want to normalize the fact that we all make mistakes. I feel like you watch a video of me sewing and you say, I get this a lot. Oh, you make it look like it's so easy. You know, you are, you know, like almost like I don't make mistakes, but I do. I make mistakes and we all do. And I feel like as a sewist, we can be so hard on ourselves when it comes to making a mistake, especially someone like me. Okay, I've been sewing for a little while now and I'm teaching people how to sew and all this, and I still make mistakes. How do I still make mistakes? Yes, we still make mistakes. We will always make mistakes. I feel like we're human. So I want to hear from you all. What are some of the silly mistakes you've made and you're like, I should have known better. I should have been more careful when I was trimming that seam allowance or whatever. Well, let me know below. I want to hear them. I want to encourage others, and I want them to see that we all are here in the same journey, you know, getting better at each and every sew. And with each mistake, we learn something new. Even if I didn't learn it, then hopefully you'll learn it so that when you make your wrap dress, you don't end up cutting your seam allowance, cutting your dress when you're trimming that seam allowance. All right, we're going to top stitch. I'm using my cover stitch. Any kind of stretch stitch on your sewing machine will work. All right, once that top has been sewn, we're gonna start at the other edge and do the same thing around the top. So we're gonna fold 1/4 inch down, 3/4 inch down, and we're gonna go along this way. All right, now while we're over there to sew our sleeve, if you are just doing a regular sleeve, then you would go ahead and hem your regular sleeve. Since I'm doing the bishop sleeve, I'm going to put in a gathering stitch, which I'm just going to use a long straight basting stitch to gather my sleeve around the sleeve edge so I can gather it to fit my cuff. I'm also going to grab my straps, and I'm going to construct my straps by folding them right sides together. Fold them right sides together and sew along the long raw edge and sew along one of the short raw edges and go along the whole raw edge. I'm doing that for my long and my short strap. Then I'm also going to grab my cuffs, and I'm going to prep them by folding them right sides together as well and sewing that short raw edge, that edge right there. Ran out of clips, so we're going to use some pins. We're almost done. We just got to hem, and we got to prep these cuffs, attach cuffs, and attach the straps, and we'll be done. All right, now we're going to grab our strap and turn it. I use a pen to flip the corners out when I'm doing this, just because that's what I have, but you can use whatever tool you have in hand. Then we're going to go ahead and steam them down, and you can top stitch around the edges if you'd like to do that. I'm not doing that for mine. All right, now we're going to attach our straps. I'm laying my dress down, and if I face it like if I'm laying on here, here's my head I'm laying on. So this is my left side and this is my right side. Left, right, if I'm wearing it. So on the left side, I'm gonna place the long strap, the raw edge here. I'm gonna attach it to the corner here of that right side. And what I wanna do is, here's my pins. I wanna top stitch it, and then I have some brown thread, I think. And I'm gonna stitch it from this side and kind of do like a top stitch in here and another line, like double line. So secure it, go back and forth a couple times to secure that strap. And then I'm gonna place on the other side, I'm gonna place the short strap and top stitch it from the front and from the back. While I'm top stitching this, I'm also going to finish my cuffs because I like to do everything at once, and we're almost done. I'm seeing the light at the end of the tunnel. This was such a great make. It's super easy and simple, though it looks really nice when it's finished. Can't wait to try it on. So I'm folding my cuffs wrong sides together here to catch here the raw edges. And I'm going to mark my half of my cuff. I'm going to place my cuff like right here so I know how small to make my sleeve. And I'm going to pull my bobbin thread to gather my sleeve to fit my cuff. Once that's the same size as the cuff, I'm going to fit my cuff right into it. Hold on one second. I'm trying to make it even on both sides. So what I'll do is I'm going to tie it here. I like to tie it because it makes it easier. Okay. And then I'm going to fit my cuff right in here, right sides together, and match up the raw edges. Doing the same for the other cuff. Since my cover stitch is already threaded with brown, I'm going to use that to top stitch my strap on. All right, friends, we are done with our dress and it turned out super cute. I love the look. I love how well it fits. I love the crossover. Although you can kind of pull it up a little bit for like more modesty, or you can pull it down and kind of ruche it a little bit if you want to. I love the option of the sleeves, but I love the fact that you can also do it sleeveless. And it was such a simple construction and it turns out looking adorable. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. Please comment, like, share, subscribe if you haven't. Comment below and let me know if you're going to be sewing up this pattern and if this tutorial was indeed helpful. I hope you have a great rest of your day. Comment, like, share, subscribe if you haven't so you never miss any of our tutorials. Go grab this pattern. The link will be below. I hope you have a great rest of your day and I'll see you next time. Bye!